looking at the UNISA Theory of Music Grade 4 October 2023 past paper. So before we hop right into this video, I just want to say that I have previously made a video on a full Grade 4 Theory of Music past paper by UNISA, the May 2023 past paper. So please go ahead and check that out for another version of this paper. So we're hopping right into question 1. That has everything to do with time signatures as well as grouping. So question 1.1 tells us to fill in the missing time signatures as well as to indicate whether each of the given music examples is in simple or compound time as well as whether they are in duple, triple or quadruple meter. So the first example we're given there is an andante example, some triplets in semiquavers, maybe to throw us a little bit off, but as we know, technically, mathematically on paper, triplets have to do with 3 notes in the time of 2. So if we think about, okay, 3 semiquavers actually taking up the time of 2 semiquavers, and we group those together, we can see that actually in each bar, we have the mathematical outcome of 3 quaver beats in a bar. And that translates into 3/8, which is simple triple time. The next example we have is an allegro example with a little upbeat. So don't mind that upbeat bar. Look at the other bars and see what we have there. And we can see that we do have a total of 4 crotchet beats in a bar. So you can go ahead and put down 4/4, and that's simple quadruple time. Lastly, we have a risoluto example, and you can see here that we sort of have groups of 2. So we know that we have 2 beats in a bar here. They're grouped in a very compound way, and this is 6/8 time compound duple time. In question 1.2, we have to deal with grouping. So we're only given 2 grouping exercises here. One in 9/8, one in 3/4. They actually both have 3 beats in common. In 9/8 we have 3 dotted crotchet beats in a bar, and in 3/4 we have 3 crotchet beats in a bar. So normal crotchet beats, simple crotchet beats, so to speak. And for this question you'll see that we are awarded 6 marks. So the logical way of identifying that would be on each of your beats in 9/8, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. And then in each of your beats in 3/4, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, you'll be getting a mark, and that will give you your 6 marks. So let's start with 9/8. Now we are given a little tuplet over there, a duplet, which means 2 quavers now, because we're dealing with quavers, in the time of 3 quavers. So technically on paper, because this is an abstract paper exercise, we do apply this differently in practice, and we think about it differently, we count it, we do whatnot, but on paper, we're just thinking about this mathematically, so we can rewrite this according to something beautiful and that we would like to sight read. So over here, if I have 2 in the time of 3, I'm kind of thinking that, and that alone would give me 1 dotted crotchet beat. So this is already 1 beat, so I'm just going to outline my beats there. Then this looks like another beat. And then this would have to be the other beat. So if I have my 3 dotted crotchet beats basically, and these are dotted crotchets, if the dots don't come out, sorry. The camera and the lighting, not the best, but we do with it what we can. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it in this order, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. But of course, you don't have to necessarily write it in that order. If you want to start with beat 3, you can go ahead there and then fill in the rest. But of course, on paper, when they appear, you'll obviously see it from this way to that way, but you can fill it in according to how you would like to have it filled in. And then the way they show us our duplet, that's where we are going to figure the tuplet sign. So for instance, if they gave us the tuplet sign at the bottom where the stems are, that's where I would put the 2, but they're giving it to us at the note heads, and they're even doing this, a little broken bracket with a 2 in bracket. So that's exactly how I'm going to copy paste the sign, exactly the way they give it to me. Even later on in our scale exercises and whatnot, sometimes UNISA is not consistent with where they put tuplet signs, right? But wherever they put it in a specific question, and you have to copy paste the rhythm, or you have to copy paste something or change it up somewhat, wherever they put the tuplet sign, that is where you put it. Whether they put it at the stem, whether they put it at the note head, or whether they have a full bracket, a broken bracket, or no bracket at all, whatever, you just copy what they do, okay? being as systematic as possible. So here we have our beat 1, beat 2, we can see all encompassing these things. So I'm grouping according, like we said, to beats. So this was my beat 1, even though they've grouped it ugly for me, I'm grouping it according to beats. So there's a quaver there, there was a quaver there, together as a tuplet, as a duplet, they make up beat 1 in 9/8. Then these, I'm going to put them together as well as this. There are two semiquavers tied together, they can just make a quaver. So there we go, we have our 4 semiquavers and our quaver, and together they make up one dotted crochet beat, so that's beat 2. And all of these things are just tied together, which just make up a full beat of a dotted crochet. So there we go, we have beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. You have your 3 marks for your first exercise. Then we move on to the 3/4 time. So if we just take a look at what we've got, let's see where our 3 beats lie. Of course, I can already see a crochet beat there. Over here, something is a little bit iffy in the middle, but I can see that that's a full crochet beat, and this is also a full crochet beat. Now I'm going to go ahead and write out what I write out. And of course, if you are putting any pencil signs for yourself, afterwards you will just go ahead and erase it, because the marker does not need to see that. You can just go ahead and erase it. Okay, so now I'm working according to 3 simple crochet beats in a bar. So first things first, we're going to rewrite this because it is a little bit ugly. So we're going to go ahead and make it a dotted quaver, beamed to a semiquaver. Then our next beat, the middle of the beat is somewhat obscure, so I need to break up that rest into 2 semiquaver rests. There we go, and that makes up a full beat. And then beat 3, there's nothing wrong with beat 3. There we go. So we actually have here beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and then we will get our 3 marks for this exercise. 6% in total for this very question, question 1.2. In question 2, we have to write scales. Now we have 18% wrapped up in this question alone. So we have 3 scales, of which each will count 6 marks. Now here they tell us, write the following scales with key signature. Remember to be systematic and to read the question, because they can tell us to write with key signature or without key signature, right? And they do clarify to us here what with key signature means, just in case we lose our brains on the exam day. It means without accidentals in your scale, and they say use the given rhythmic patterns, and then of course we need to indicate our semitones, and UNISA likes us to indicate it by means of a sliver. Okay, so we have 3 scales here, and we have to write them with key signature. Now in the May 2023 past paper, they asked to write without key signature, and then we had to fill in all the sharps and all flats in the scale, but here we have a key signature, which is lovely. But when they do say with key signature, just beware, because they're about to throw all the sharps and flats at you. So they're going to give you some hectic keys. As you can see, the first one, A sharp, melodic minor, whoo, all the sharps literally. And then we have E major, I mean that also has 4 sharps, and then B flat, harmonic minor, oh my goodness, it's related to G flat major, which has 6 flats. So wow, they're really throwing it at us. So what we know about these scales is that we're first going to go ahead and write down our key signature. And then they do give us a time signature, so we have to write our time signature in. We have to take responsibility for that and write it in right after our key signature. Then we can start our scales according to whether they want us to write ascending or descending. Obviously, we need our 8 notes there. They do give us 8 specific notes, so we just have to follow the patterns. And if they do give us any tuplets, be sure to repeat the tuplets in your answer for the scales. And say for instance there with the 2.2 E major exercise, they have the little tuplet sign at the stems. Okay, then you have your tuplet sign at the stems. Now in 2.3 they also have a tuplet sign at the stems, but they don't have a bracket. So you don't put a bracket in your tuplet sign, okay? So just be systematic with those types of things, like I said in the previous question. So if we just talk through these scales, 2.1, we have A sharp melodic minor. It has 7 sharps, so you're going to fill in all your sharps in the key signature. You're going to copy paste your time signature. You're going to write your 8 notes up. And then of course you need to raise degrees 6 and 7 in a melodic minor scale, ascending. And here we already have an F sharp and a G sharp, so those two notes are about to become F double sharp and G double sharp. So just put your X in front of those notes, and then we finally add in our semitones, and in a melodic minor ascending, they lie between 2 and 3 and 7 and 8. Then 2.2, we have E major descending. Yay, the major scales are quite nice because we don't have to alter anything within the actual scale. Okay, so we first have our key signature, and remember we're in the alto clef here, so just know where you're writing these sharps. So after the key signature, we fill in our 6/8, which is our time signature. Then we're going to descend, so we need to start on a nice E and make our way down to the next E, filling in all our notes, not missing any lines or spaces, and then finally we have our semitones, and remember degree 1 is the lowest note. So from there we're going to add in our semitones, and in a major key they lie between degrees 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. Finally, our last scale at 2.3 is B flat harmonic minor, descending. So of course we're going to fill in our 6 flats for our key signature, then we're going to fill in our 2/4 for the time signature. We're going to start on a nice B flat, and then we are going to descend our 8 notes down, and then finally we're going to raise our 7th in a harmonic minor. So the 7th here is an A flat, so we're going to raise it to an A natural, so just put the A natural in front of the A flat. And then finally we're going to fill in our semitones, and in a harmonic minor the semitones lie between degrees 2, 3, 5, 6 as well as 7 and 8. Question 3 has everything to do with 4-part harmony, one of my favorite topics in music theory, and it becomes very foundational at this level of music theory, because from here we're just going to get better and better at this. So let's see what we have to do. Firstly, chords in isolation. So here in question 3.1 they tell us to harmonize the following chords in 4 parts, and then we of course have to just write the key in the given blocks. Let's do. They do give us at least one chord note in each of the exercises, and we'll see here they give us a soprano voice. Doesn't really matter which voice they give us. So they give us the chord figurations, and by the chord figurations we will already be able to tell mostly what is major, what is minor. For instance, if we see the submedian chord being figured as a minor chord, we know that we are in a major key. So we don't even have to think about, could this be, could major key. Then over here, we are given the leading note chord, which is obviously diminished in both major and minor keys, but this over here, the raised B sharp, gives it away. We are definitely then in the minor form of this key. So we can't think, is it major? No, minor. Then over here we are given a diminished supertonic chord, which only appears in minor keys. So we of course just know it's minor. So if you want to start thinking about a no, it's a minor key. Then over here, this one could be just by looking at the chord, because dominant is both major in a major and minor key. So this could be E flat major, could be C minor. We have to think, okay, this note, D, does it appear on the dominant chord of E flat major or C minor? So this one we can still think about. But if your brain is very quick, we can already see that this is going to be the major version, because the dominant in E flat major does contain a D. Okay, so now that we've spoken quickly through that, let's go ahead and figure. So first things first, like we said, we are in the major key here. So major key with 4 flats, A flat major, this should just be rolling right out of us. Then we need our chord notes. So of course we are figuring something on the F, A flat, C chord. And what we are going to do is we're going to double something, because we're taking a 3-note chord, turning it into 4-part writing. So we do need to double something, and when we are on the submedian chord, we like to double the 3rd. So we're going to double that A flat, and then because we are in first inversion, that A flat is going to go in the bass. So I'm going to put that over there. Then I have my F already, so A flat and F gone. Now I just need another A flat as well as a C. So I'm going to put the A flat in the alto, and I'm going to put my C in the tenor, having my tenor sing as high as possible. There we go. A chord in isolation, then we move on. Here we are, we said we're in the minor form of the key, just because of that raised 7th, it gives it away. We are in C sharp minor, so baby C sharp there. And the leading note is of course B sharp in this key. So we are dealing with the chord B sharp, D sharp, F sharp, all the sharps literally. So what we know about special chords being the diminished chords as well as the augmented chords, we double the 3rd. And that is the same as saying we double the bass, because your third is going to go in the bass, because these special chords are always given to us in first inversion. So I'm going to go ahead and double the D sharp, and the D sharp also needs to be in the bass. So now D sharp gone, B sharp gone, and now I just need another D sharp as well as an F sharp. So I'm going to put my F sharp in the alto and my D sharp in the tenor. There we go. On to the next one. So we said we're in the minor form of the key here, and of course this is B minor, so baby B. And the supertonic of B is of course C sharp over here, so C sharp, E, G. That is the chord in which we are about to build. Then of course special chords, like we said before, diminished, we double the third, and because we are in first inversion, that third, which is E over here, goes in the bass. So now they've given us a C sharp, we have an E, all we have left to put in is another E and then a G. So I'm going to put my E in the alto and my G in the tenor. Then we're good to go. So as long as we know our doubling rules here, and we know about voice spacing, we know in which direction our stems need to go, we'll be good to go here. Lastly, we said we are in the major version of this key, so E flat major. And of course the dominant of E flat is B flat, so we are about to build the chord on B flat, D, F. Now, any second inversion chord needs to have the fifth doubled. And yet again, it's the same as saying having the bass doubled, because if you're in second inversion, the fifth note will go in the bass. So F needs to be doubled. F also needs to go in the bass. So they give us a D. We already have an F. Now I just need a B flat and an F. And I'm going to put the F in the alto and the B flat in the tenor. There we go. So good spacing, good stem direction, good doubling, and that is what we need from this question. Each of these exercises will only give you 2 marks, so if you get all of this correct, you will get 8% here. In question 3.2, they tell us to harmonize the following cadences in 4 parts. We need to figure each chord as well as write the key in the given blocks. So here we go. First things first, they tell us we are going to write a plagal cadence, and we need to know what that means. Then we are asked to write an interrupted cadence, and lastly we are asked to write a perfect cadence. Okay, so we're going to start with plagal, and of course we know that that means subdominant to tonic. Now we need to know our key, and then we need to figure our chords accordingly. So of course, if we are in a major key, we're going to figure the subdominant as a major chord and the tonic as a major chord. But if we are in the minor key, which we are here, we are going to figure our subdominant as a minor chord and our tonic as a minor chord. So we are in B minor over here. And how we know this is, okay, if they tell us that we have to write a plagal cadence, we of course know this needs to be subdominant of our key. This needs to be part of the tonic of our key. So we need to ask ourselves, okay, if I'm quickly thinking about D major, because sometimes, you know, I guess it's the easiest to start thinking about your major before the minor. So what is the subdominant of D? That would be G. And a chord on G would be GBD. Does E fall in GBD? No. So then it automatically has to be our minor key, right? So we are definitely in B minor. And if we think about the subdominant chord of B minor, E, we build the triad E, G, B, and of course E is part of that. So that just confirms it. So we figure our cadence chords, subdominant tonic, just like that. Then we're going to write down our chord notes. And of course, like I said, here we are E, G, B. And then we are here on B, D, F sharp. Okay, rules for plagal cadences. You are going to double the root in both chords. Now, of course, your root note needs to go in the bass. So we have an E there, and we have a B over here. They already give us an E, so both E's are gone there. I just need to add to my chord a G and a B. I'm going to put the G in the alto, B in the tenor, and that is done. So of course here, my B is already gone, my 1B, then my D is gone. So in plagal cadences, we know that after having the root notes in the bass, we have to have a note in common. So what is our note in common here? Of course it's B, and it's in the tenor at the moment. So there we go. The other 2 voices will fall down stepwise, and I see the E already goes to a D there. That falls stepwise. So I have nothing else to fill in but this F sharp, so I have to put that in the alto, and yippee yippee, it does fall stepwise. I know I'm correct, and that is done. Now, I have previously made videos on all 4 types of cadences that we need to know, so perfect, imperfect, plagal, as well as interrupted cadences, and I do speak more in detail about those in both major and minor keys there, so please be sure to check out those videos, and then this will all make sense to you. We're going through it very quickly here. Now we have to write an interrupted cadence. Now they do give us the bass note, so already we can think, the dominant to submedian. Is C the dominant of the major form of this key with 4 flats, or is it the dominant of the minor form of the key? And it will be the minor because, of course, C is the dominant of F minor. So that's our key, and of course, then we know we need to figure the dominant as major as well as the submedian as major. Then we need to outline our chord notes. So of course here we're on C, E, G. I'm just going to naturalize that because that's our leading note. Then here we are on D flat, F, A flat. So there we go, and I'm spelling my chord correctly. I'm not saying D, F, A or D, F, A flat or D flat, F, A, whatever. I'm spelling it correctly, D flat, F, A flat, because that is what is present in F minor. Okay, rules. For interrupted cadence, we double the root in the dominant and we double the third in the submedian. We know that this third is so important. It's the leading note. It has to go to this third. Middle note here goes to middle note there. Same thing as saying leading note goes to tonic. So of course we have our root notes in the bass. So C's gone, D flat's gone. Now I have free will on how to write the rest of my chords. So I have to fill in the soprano, alto, and tenor voices. And I'm going to put that leading note in the soprano just because it can go in the other voices, but I'm just going to do this for today. Then I'm going to have my G there, my C over there. And then what do we know? Middle note here, let's go to middle note there. So the E has no other option but to go to the F. So that's done, that's done. Now the remaining voices fall down. One down, stepwise, and one down a third. So here we go. We need another F that falls down stepwise, and we need our A flat that falls down a third in the tenor. And there we have it, our interrupted cadence. Next, we have a perfect cadence. This is our final cadence that they would like us to write, and this is finally in the major form of the key. So we have A major. We do know that perfect cadences means we go from the dominant to the tonic, and of course the dominant and tonic chords both contain the notes E in A major. So our dominant chord we figure as a major chord, and our tonic chord we figure as a major chord in a major key. So our dominant chord is built on E, G sharp, B, and of course our tonic chord is built on A, C sharp, E. Now what do we know about perfect cadences? We double the root in both, and of course the root needs to go in the bass. So that's gone, that's gone. We already are given our E's, and that would be our note in common. Okay, great. So now I'm going to fill in the rest here. I'm going to have G sharp over there, I'm going to have E over there. Okay, now we have a note in common, so the other two voices are about to step up. Okay, just stepwise up. So my G sharp is going to go to my A, and my B is going to go to my C sharp. And there we have it, our perfect cadence. And as you will see, cadences count the most out of any question in the paper, 21%, 21 marks, wrapped up in this question alone. So if you know what you're doing here, you already have a fifth of your paper correct. Question 4 is our comprehension question. So this is no stranger to us because already from pre-grade 1 we had various types of comprehensions in each of the exams. Here we just have one, but a lot of things are wrapped up in this question 4. Okay, so in question 4.1 they say figure the indicated chords in the music example that they give you, write the key in the block given below the staff as always, and then we need to indicate major keys with big capital letters and minor keys with small baby letters. So of course we need to get our key right here, and we can either be in E flat major or C minor. Now, of course, if I'm in E flat major, I do expect to see a lot of things revolving around E flat and the chords within E flat. And if I am in C minor, I do expect to see raised sevenths, which means I do expect to see a lot of B naturals, which I don't see. So E flat major it is. We can already see that bar 1 does have an E flat major chord. Now remember that that little bar that only has one beat in it right at the beginning is an upbeat bar. That is not our bar 1. Our bar 1 is the first full bar that has our full 3 crotchet beats in it, because we are in 3/4 time here. So I have gone and labeled those bars on my answer. And of course, you just need to take this knowledge with you into the exam. You can erase any pencil markings on there afterwards, whatnot. But for this type of question, we do need to then be able to know and figure all our chords from the tonic up to the leading note. So we need to know, okay, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and all those chords that lie on those degrees of the scale, right? So that we can figure these things accordingly. So we can either be in root position here, or our chords can also be in first inversion or second inversion. So please take note of that. So I have outlined our chords for us, and then also we do have a string of first inversion chords here. So do make sure to see your chord notes and then what lies in the bass, okay? Because what lies in the bass will tell you whether you are in root position, first inversion, or second inversion. So let's go ahead and answer these questions. In question 4.2, we are still basing our answers on the music example given to us in 4.1. They do tell us write and name the inversion of the indicated intervals in the music example, and then use semi-breves as well as a given clef. So treble or bass clef, luckily not alto clef here. And then we need to write the intervals without key signature. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to check out our intervals. They are labeled with baby letter Roman numerals, and then we need to swap them over. So I see the very first question that they point out to us has to do with something A flat to C. So we're going to invert that. In the bass clef, we're going to write C to A flat, and then we have to figure that interval. So that interval is a minor sixth. And as I have said in the previous UNISA video that I've made on a full past paper, you can check your intervals by knowing that, okay, the inversion thereof will be the opposite type. So majors would be minors, diminished would be augmented, perfect stays perfect, and vice versa. And then everything according to the numbers will add up to 9, or be the inversion of that. So if I'm thinking about my original question that they gave us here, which is A flat to C, that is merely a major third. So in the inversion that we are requested to write, which is now from C to A flat, that would be the opposite there of a minor sixth. That's just the way I can check my answers right at the end. I don't need to scramble my brain to do that like right in this time when I'm doing this question. I can always come back and check if I just want to be extra. But okay, that'll be true for all of the intervals. So be sure to write down the inversions of all of these intervals. Do make sure that when you are working between clefs that you know what the notes are, and then write it down in the single clef that they give it to you. So just make sure about that. You have to be very systematic here. I just want to make a little point of noting sub-questions 4 and 5 here, because when we look at our score, they do have for us something that is going from a high note to a low note. So we have an A flat going to a B flat. However, you always work out intervals from the bottom up. So actually the interval that they're giving us is B flat to A flat. So when we write down our inversion thereof, we are going to write down A flat to B flat. And then that'll be obviously a major second. So just be sure that you are writing the correct inversion. So even though the first note that appears there in sub-question 4 is an A flat, because the B flat is the lowest note, we actually think about that interval from B flat to A. So then our inversion thereof goes from A to B flat. Okay, the same thing happens with sub-question 5. They give us an A flat and a G. Now G is lower than A flat, so actually that interval that they give us is G to A flat. Then we have to invert that by going from A flat to G, and of course then that will be a major 7. So just be systematic about that. Then next we're given another sub-comprehension layer. It says study the music example below, and then we are asked yet again to figure the indicated chords in the music example. Then we need to write the key in the given block, as well as indicate yet again major keys with capital letters, minor keys with small letters. And if we were given a major key before, we were probably going to get a minor key now, and if we were given a minor key before, we will probably get a major key now. So looking at this very extract, I see we have a key with one flat, and I do see C sharps creeping up there. Everything surrounds itself with D. We are in D minor here. So same thing as the previous music example. We need to figure these chords, and these chords may be in root position, first inversion or second inversion. So please be sure to label your chord notes accordingly and then know which note is in the bass, and then you may answer your questions correctly by figuring them as chords should be right now in a minor key. In question 4.3.2, we are asked to give the technical names of each of the indicated notes, which of course refer to tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, or the leading note. So of course, if you got our key right, we will be able to get this right. But if you got our key wrong, then there's no hope here for us. But we are in D minor, so we need to label the notes accordingly. First things first, we do see that we have an F, so of course that's the mediant. Then we see that we have an E, so that is the supertonic. Then we land on an A, so that is the dominant. After this we have a B flat, which is of course the submediant. And then we have a C sharp, which is of course the leading note. So you need to write out those full English terms or those full Afrikaans terms, and then you will get your 5 marks there. Question 5 has everything to do with melody writing, and we are dealing with 8-bar melody writing at the UNISA Theory of Music Grade 4 level. So I have previously made a video on 8-bar melody writing, so please do go ahead and check that out for some foundational concepts. We are just going to fly through this today. So here they do give us a little allegretto example in 3/4 time. They do give us our 4 bars in which we need to write. They give us our key signature. We don't have to write down time signature again. We just have to figure our melody in bars 5, 6, 7, and 8. First things first, we start at the end. We are in D major here, so we're going to have a nice long tonic at the end. I'm going to end on this D. You can of course end on the lower D, but I think it's nice and appropriate to end here because we have a nice contour going up to the dominant and even landing on an E over here, and then I think it's just fitting to end on this D. But you can do what you do in the short exercise, just as long as you end on a long tonic. Then I'm going to copy paste bar 1 into bar 5. So I have an A, I have an F sharp, going to a G, and I'm going to use the note values that they give me, and I have an A. Then I'm going to have a sequence of bar 5 in bar 6, so everything one note up. So A goes to B, F sharp goes to G, G goes to A, same rhythm. And then all I need to compose is this bar, and it's going to be based on the dominant chord, which in D major is of course A, C sharp, E. So I'm going to use those chord notes, and I would like to also use somewhat of a passing note. Now I can simply outline my beats in 3/4 time if I would like to, because I do see that they do give us 3 crotchets here. I can go ahead and have 3 crotchets here, but I think I want to do something of a mixture of crotchet beats that they give us, but also I see this nice dotted rhythm principle that they have, and I want to make use of that. So what I like to do is go ahead and start on the note closest to the previous bar's note. I'm going to go ahead and start with A. I would like to do that, so going up. And if I just outlined a little scale-like pattern, I would have A, B, C sharp. I don't have to have the E in there, but I think I am going to alter this beat a little bit and have it look like that. So we have somewhat of a rhythmic cohesion, and then I'm going to phrase. There we go. And I do say that we should add suitable phrasing as well as dynamic markings. So what I'm going to do here, nothing crazy. I think whatever you have and whatever you're led to put in here at the beginning, maybe do the opposite there. And let's go very moderate. Let's not be fortissimo, pianissimo. I would even avoid the forte piano thing, but nah, you can do that, it's not bad. I think I'm going to start with mezzo forte. So the whole first line will be mezzo forte, and then the whole second line will be mezzo piano. And there we go. So I'll play this for you on soprano recorder, and then we can finish the rest of this paper. So we are in 3/4 time here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And if you so have a beautiful, concise and systematic melody, you will get 10% here. Then our very final question, question 5.2 in the whole of the paper, says to us, give the meaning of the following terms. So we will get either terms or signs here, or even terms and signs here. And this will just be taken from the grade 4 terms and signs. Although it is very good to know everything from pre-grade 1 up to now, because you never know what they might throw in, and it's also just good to be musically aware of these things. Okay, so we have immer, which means always. We have martelado, which means hammered. We have nicht, which means not. So that is one of those combining words. And then we also have mit, which is with, for instance, mit pedal, with pedal. So it's another one of those combining words, but all you need to write down there is with. And then we have brillante, which means brilliant. There we go. So that ties up our UNISA Theory of Music Grade 4 paper for the October 2023 session. So the total of this paper is, of course, 100. The pass mark is 50%. If you so get 70%, you will be in the merit category. If you get 80%, you will be in the distinction category. And if you find yourself in the 90 plus range, you will be getting your name on UNISA's honor roll. So UNISA's roll of honor. So all the best for your preparation for your grade 4 theory of music, and I hope that these videos have helped you. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments or concerns or anything in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. And remember to always play from original sheet music and to make your mark on original music resources.